Hello, welcome to this edition of Timeless Conversations. Today, the conversation will bring in a very dear friend and brother of mine, someone with whom we go back many decades. He is into our line of work. By that, I don't mean he appears on TV or radio, but what he does really brings to your screen in many ways stuff that will touch your heart. He's the founder and managing director of IBST Limited. It's a company that's into media and TV production right here in Lagos. I want to welcome Remi Ogunpitan to Timeless Conversation.
Thank you very much, Lekon. Yes. Nice to be here.
It's a pleasure that you came. I know how busy you can be. Now, Remi, one first question I want to ask you is this. You have a very strong Ijebu background. You also have a UK background, plus your Nigerian background. Tell me who Remi Ogunpitan is.
I don't know. I think I'm a mix of various things. You know, I think our experiences in life, our exposure, the places we live, the schools we go to, the friends that we make, and all these potpourri of experiences make us who we are. But I went to school in England. I left Nigeria when I was 5. My father was a politician. And during that period, he decided to go to England with his wife to pursue his accountancy qualifications. And he took his wife along. We were young. And they left us behind in Lagos, myself, my sister, Yetunde, and my brother, Ladipo. Yetunde and I were living with the Adelajas.
Okay.
At CMS Grammar
School compound.
Yeah, Mrs. Adelaja is the senior sister to my mother. Okay. And Ladipo was staying in Ibadan with my mother's junior sister. When they settled in England, they sent for us. I was about 5 or 6. Yetunde that's my junior sister, was about 5. We went to join them. And we were with them there for many years. We went to school, went to university, started work. My father qualified, worked in various companies and organizations, and at a period in time, he decided that he was coming back to Nigeria. And he decided to come and work with the company he was working with in the UK then, and they brought him back, and he was in Kano.
What company was that?
That Rally Bicycles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he rose to become the managing director of Rally Bicycles. They came back with Yetunde. I stayed in the UK. I was then, by the time they came back, I had left school, I had left university. I was in the British Army. And I spent some time in the British Army, in the Ordnance Corps. Wow. And that was where I got the love for video communications and all of those kind of things, apart from the fact that I was a sportsman. So those were the two things I was doing. And when I left the army, I spent 3 years there, came out of the army, and I was looking at what to do. And I realized that in all this period that my parents had left me. My sister had left me, and here I was in England. And by that time, I spent like 16, 17 years in the UK. I'd never been to Nigeria during that period.
That explains your Yoruba.
Yes. So, why I don't speak Yoruba well, and why you love to hear me speaking Yoruba and like to laugh at me. It's okay, I understand. And
yes, now.
Yeah, and all my friends who are Yoruba love laughing at me and give me funny looks, but it's okay, I'm used to that too. So I decided I was going to come back and visit my parents and come and see what Nigeria was like. And I came, bought a ticket, and went to Kano. And I want to tell you a funny story, because when I was coming back to Nigeria to visit, I decided I was going to look, amazing. That when I arrived at the airport, everybody was know that this guy just landed from England, and that there was going to be Everything was going to be there. I'll just pick up the phone. I'll go to the public telephone. I'll call my mom. I said, guess what? Because it was meant to be a surprise.
Surprise.
I'm in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And all of that. So that's what I did. And I landed at Kano Airport. And I asked them, I said, please, I need a public telephone to call my parents. This is like 1980. And the guys were all looking at me. Who is this guy? public telephone. What?
What?
And I didn't have the address where they were living. All I knew as of that time was my father was the financial director of Raggy Bicycles. That's all I knew. When I landed in Kano, so I came out with my stuff. I called a taxi driver and I said, look, this is where I'm going. I want to go and look for this man. I want to go to the factory. And it was funny because that was the same man when my parents arrived in Nigeria.
The same man?
Yes, that took them to their home in Alu Avenue.
In Kano?
Yes. So the man said, don't worry. I know who you are. I know where they live. And then he took me straight there. Of course, my father at that time wasn't back from work. He had gone to pick up my mother, who then was teaching, and there was no lights.
Culture shock.
No light. So he dropped me. He said I shouldn't worry about the money, that we'll come back and collect the money. And I sat there for 2-3 hours in darkness, waiting for my parents to arrive. They drove in with their 504 Peugeot. They turned the light. They just saw me like this. They just ran out of the car. So, and I was in the north. Yeah. I worked for some time in the north. I'm very familiar with the north. I worked in Kano. I worked in Zaria. I worked in Kaduna. I used to play rugby. We used to travel around together. I have a lot of amazing friends that I made in the north. When I came back to Nigeria, that period, it was peaceful. There was cohesion. There wasn't a lot of all this religious
dissonance and
all of that. It didn't exist. The only thing that I witnessed during that period that was anything like that was the Maitasini riots.
Maitasini riots. That was in 1980 or 81.
That was the only thing. But Igbos, Yorubas, Hausa people, we mixed together. It didn't matter whether you had money or you didn't have money. We were all one. There was nobody, So that was good. So that is where you get that mix of Ijebu, where that is my origins.
Yes.
My mother is from. She always used to tease my father when he used to misbehave. That look, don't talk to me anyhow. I'm from a royal family. My father is the Daguri of Idowa. So my mother was from a royal family.
But Idowa is also Ijebu now.
Yeah, Ijebu, yes. And my father too. You tell her that look, my father was one of the richest men in Ijebu. And that's how they used to banter. And I just used to laugh. But that's my Ijebu origin.
Yes.
That's my Oyibo UK origin.
UK origin.
To Nigeria, where I've been
since 1980.
Yes.
You see, I was going to ask you the question, but you alluded to it, so I'll just expand it now. But what attracted you to media and TV production? You said it started from the UK,
when
the
I was
British
in the
Army.
Army. Yes.
Yeah.
We used to make, in those days, making career films, training films was a big thing. And I wasn't really doing that, but I was working in the department that used to do that. More like a production secretary.
Yeah, okay.
And I liked it, and I got interested in it. And when I applied to go to uni, which was Leeds University, to study film and television, it was the Army that actually...
Okay, so it was like a hop, step, and jump thing for you.
Yes, and I got into it. Then when I finished, I worked a bit in the UK, CBS Records.
Okay.
I was doing what they call new release coordination, which is a big name for a runt job. And it was during that period, during that job, I decided to come back. And, and that's when I started getting into TV production. I went back to Unilag, I did Mascom again. I met Jimmy Odumosu, worked on some of his projects, Fiery Force, and that was how I started getting into the industry.
Into the industry.
Yeah.
But you must have seen something that made you say, this is the line I was going to stay with.
It was, some things are fortuitous in the sense that it's destiny. I went through a lot of different things. I worked with when I finished at Unilag. Jimmy Odumosu was doing a project then called Fiery Force.
Very false, yes, I remember that.
And I ended up being the production manager on that.
Yeah.
And I met a whole lot of people. That was where I met doing Jaisini and quite a lot of other people.
Doing is my cousin.
Yeah, and doing Jaisini played a significant role in my life. Yes, because things were not easy then. My father was a bit of the disciplinarian. The way you make your bed is the way you lie in it, and at times we just leave you to sort yourself out.
Yeah.
And doing after school, Doing took me in, and I lived with him and his wife, Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy, yeah.
And I was with Doing for almost a year. And if you you might not remember, but the commercial that we did together,
Yeah, I remember we
the
did
Sheraton
commercial.
Hotel,
Yes.
it was Doing
Okay.
that took me to you.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you see life.
That's true. That's true. That's
Circle
true.
of life, and that
Yes,
was all coming.
yes,
Doing.
Yeah, Doing is my cousin, like I said.
Doing
So
was at LTVA. So
Yes.
no, let's go to Lake Concan.
yes, can do this for you.
Yes, that was, so I went through that phase. I went through that phase of with Doing, thinking that we were going to start an amazing TV production company doing commercials. We did that commercial and then didn't get another commercial
For a while.
for
a
a
long
long time. So I had to go back and look for work.
For work, okay.
And that was when I now ran into Doing Osasoni Adun.
Okay.
And I started working at DBN.
At DBN.
Yes,
Yes. That's true.
In fact, the interview for that job was myself and Sheye Kennedy.
Really?
Yes. Sheye Kennedy looked dapper that day. If you see the suit that he wore, the shoes,
Yeah.
I said, lie, I cannot get this job with this guy looking like this. But we did that interview together. I think he had just come back from England or something.
England too.
Yes. And I got the job. But I remember it was me and Shea. We sat down to each other. We sat down next to each other.
Wow.
So I worked with Osa.
Yeah.
Osa was the one that really opened up my eyes.
Good.
He gave me a lot of responsibility. And he gave me a lot of opportunity. I was in charge of production. I was able to travel to around the world. Osa paid for it.
Yeah.
I'll go to NAB. I'll go to IBC.
Yeah.
I'll go to Cannes. All those places. I think he had a lot of faith in me.
Yeah.
And I was also able to challenge him in terms of, intellectually and in terms of vision and direction and everything. And I think he liked that.
Yeah.
Because he had just come back from America and he had set up a DBN. He had DAS network and everything.
Yes.
And we got on really well. And also had a lot of arguments. But what was important was that it was somebody that was always able to accommodate and listen. And if you could come with a superior argument, even if it will go with you. So he gave me that opportunity.
Not a lot of employers do that.
He gave me that opportunity, and I traveled and I saw and I said, this is it. This is where I want to be. I became passionate about it. I'll read everything. I'll go anything concerning media, broadcast, equipment. I wanted to be there.
You were just like a sponge.
Yes, just taking it all in.
Yeah.
And I worked with him for, I think it was about 3 years. And then the American embassy came along and offered me an opportunity that I couldn't resist.
What was that opportunity?
They offered me a job at the United States Information Service.
Service, okay.
Yeah, as the audiovisual manager.
Oh, that's on Broad Street, USIS.
Yes, when, I think the director then was a guy called Bob Lagama.
Okay.
And the director of communication was Carol Wild. And that was where I met the late Livy Ajunoma.
Yeah, Livy Ajunoma, yes.
He worked there.
He worked there.
Yeah,
yes.
and there was an amazing house guy, Kabir Dangogo.
Okay, yes, I know that.
You know Kabir Dangogo too, yeah. Yes. So, but what was amazing about it was that was where I really got introduced to technology. Because even as of that time, this would be like about 1987, 86, 87, everything was computerized. And I'd never been exposed to a computer before then.
Computers.
It was a new thing. You know, everybody also start shouting about, I've got a 286, I've got a 386 computer,
Yes,
I've
yes.
got a 486.
Yes.
And that was where I got introduced to computers and technology and everything. And I just soaked it all in. And it was the same time too that I started talking to my cousin,
Wegadilaja.
about, he was then the managing director at a television company called Nationwide
Television, yes, I remember that.
which I think was set up with the late Mike Enauro.
Mike Nahoro, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was also running it with a guy then called Felix Egbanumo.
Yes.
So we started talking, blah, blah, blah. We're interested, can't continue working for people all our lives. This thing, we know it, let's do it. How are we going to do it? We don't have money. We'll talk, we'll see regularly. I was still at the USIS. He was at Tafawa Baliwa.
Tafawa, just next door.
So we always see it, always talk.
Lunchtime talk.
Yeah, lunchtime, evening, we sit down, drink beer, pepper soup. What are we going to do? So after working there for some time, I was approached by an American called Lloyd Weaver.
Oh, Lloyd Weaver, he died recently.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes.
That's another of my...
Yes.
Lloyd.
Yeah.
He's so resting.
Amen, amen. He was an amazing man.
I get emotional when I think about him.
Yeah.
Lloyd approached me. They were setting up a company there called Swift Studios.
Swift before this, after
CDW.
CDW.
After CDW,
Yes.
instead of Swift,
Yes.
there were some Nigerians that came around and gave them money. I don't want to mention their names.
Oh, no. We don't need their names.
They gave them money and they set up Swift Studios. And they asked me to come and work for them as the executive producer.
Okay.
The unfortunate thing though was that during that period, Wig and I were already running around trying to see where we can get money, doing proposals, budgets, business plans, and all of that. And as I started that job with them,
That's with Swift.
with Swift, yes, a lot of things started coming through on the other end of
On
things
the other
there.
end, okay.
And we approached Otumba Shubomi Balogun.
I thought you said you didn't want to mention names.
No, I must. These are the ones that are important.
This one must be mentioned.
Yes.
Okay, let me take a break now.
Okay.
We'll come back. Don't forget
Thank
where
you
you
very
are.
much.
We're taking a break now. We'll be back with you shortly. It's still Timeless Conversations, and I'm talking with my friend and brother, Remi Ogunpitan. So you were going to mention names of, or the name of someone who stood by you in that quest.
We approached, when we decided we wanted to set up a production company, we approached Shubomi Balogun, or Tumba Shubomi Balogun, who then, FCMB. But then he had a finance and security firm called City Securities.
Yeah, City Securities, yeah, that's true.
And he believed in the dream, and he gave us money, a lot of money, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds then in 1989.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah, and we took the money, and I think we did well. We set up a company called Solar Productions.
Solar Productions,
It was in Lupeju.
Yes. Town planning way.
Yeah, we had people like Olumide Ofere, Mike Afigo, Unwoso, plenty of the big company.
I know all of those guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know them now.
Yes, now.
Moses Ebere.
Yes,
all
now.
of them. They were all, and we had an amazing business, and we quickly established ourselves in the marketplace and did a lot of work and started to make money. But things fell apart.
How?
It's simple, and I think everybody can relate to it. If a business partnership is a marriage,
Yes.
and this was not even a ordinary business marriage. This was a business marriage of family.
Yeah.
You know, everybody on the board was family.
Yeah.
In fact, City Securities Limited then was represented by Bolaji Balogun. My father was on the board. Wiga's father was on the board. But you know, the directors, they're not involved in the day-to-day running.
It's their running show.
You see, when two people who are meant to act as one have a different vision, the center can never hold.
It can't.
Whether it's in a business, whether it's in a home, whether it's any public institution, whether it's the president and the vice president.
Sure.
Once the vision diverts, it can't hold. And that's basically what happened.
What happened?
And apart from differences also, because division comes because of differences. Differences in approach, differences in ability, differences in skills, differences in the ability to manage funds.
Even in style.
In
or
style,
execution.
everything, yeah. And even differences in terms of who the clients prefer to work with. Maybe they prefer working with this person to this person. And all those things become convoluted. The jealousies come in, all kinds of things come in, and it becomes difficult for the center to hold. So after 5 years, I left. And for quite a period of time, almost like a year, I didn't know what to do. I knew that, I'm going to do work in production. I knew that.
Yeah.
And then I was again, God continues to send people along. And then I was again rescued by two gentlemen called, who then were running an advertising agency called Concept Unit. Larry Awukoya and Kaide Ido,
Yes.
who basically came to me and said, well, look, we've been working with you for a long time. We like the way you work. Da-di-da-di-da. We've noticed that you're no longer with Vega. What do you want to do? And I said, I want to set up a production company. And they said, fine. They're interested. And they put some money up, a substantial amount of money. And I looked at the whole thing. And of course, you tell your family, look, this is what I want to do now. I want to put money up, want to start a new business. And I remember my father saying, no way. You're not going to take their money without any of your own money in there. How much do you have? I told him, he said, no. He said, we're going to match them penny for penny. So that this time around, we have a hold. And that's what we did. So I was able to use some money I had. My father gave me a substantial amount of money and added it to what they put in. And we started Sharp-Weisberg Media, Studio 77.
I remember that. I just wanted to hit you a little bit. Your disciplinarian father.
Yes.
Supported you.
Yes, he did.
I'm underlining it because we'll come back to it.
Yes, he supported me.
Yes.
And that was how we started Sharp-Weisberg Media.
Yes.
Which I ran for 9 years. And later on sold my shares to, because by that time the company had become part of a bigger group called Integrated Marketing Services.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which was, it was used. So by the time I decided I wanted to go on my own 100%, when I sold my shares, it was a juicy bit of money.
Very good.
With some other businesses that I had done at that time, like the All Africa Games and everything, I started IBST till today.
What does IBST mean?
Integrated Broadcast Services and Technologies.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So congratulations on that roller coaster of a movement. Now, because that's the space you operate in, the production sector of the Nigerian media space appears to be growing, interestingly, at both a fast and slow pace. Fast because technology is moving fast, but slow because of peculiar Nigerian challenges. What do you think can bring us to par with other clients? And by other clients, I mean even other African countries, like South Africa, for instance. What do you think can bring us to par with that?
That's an interesting question because our sector is made up of various and very, 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 very diverse ingredients that make it a whole. If you look at our film sector, everybody will think that it's growing, that we're seeing a lot more of our movies on Netflix.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot more commissioning going on and things like that, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that's the perception.
Yes.
In our TV industry, broadcast, terrestrial, cable, OTT, and online, things are not moving so rapidly in terms of revenue.
Yes.
There are revenue challenges there. There are challenges in technology. And if you look at where we are and how broadcasting is done today, a lot of it is still it's all IP based.
Yes.
So we're dealing with issues of technology. We're dealing with issues of how do we improve our quality. And to improve your quality, you need to access revenues. And for revenues to come, you need to have quality. So that one is like, which one, chicken or egg? And then we have what I've talked about before, the movies, which everybody is talking about. You know, the government, Nigeria, daddy, and all of that. The fastest moving sector in Nigeria is all of that. And as I said, it's just a perception.
But they say perception is everything.
Yeah, it's just a perception, because what you have to ask yourself is that, what is it doing to the country as a whole, economically, socially, and all of those things? Is it really having an impact? And for me, I think that we're not really making that impact yet. The challenges are multifarious, but I think a lot of it has to do with the enabling environment, which is one. It has to do with access and education. And then it has also to do with the people who actually are in control of the industry.
Okay.
If we look at a lot of the people that are in control of the industry and have made investments in the industry, the question is, who are they? Where do they come from? You know, what is their stake?
What's their long-term goal?
So all these things, when you add them all together, the position that I have taken is that you can't, if you try to change everything, you can't change it.
Yeah.
One person can't do it.
No way.
So I just figured that the only way to really address this is decide where you want to play. Decide, do I want to play here? Do I want to play here? Or do I want to play defense? Do I want to play midfield? Do I want to play attack? Left or right? Decide where you're going to play. And then carve out a role for yourself. And try to become the best at it. And through that way, also influence people that come into contact with you. Try to create revenues and opportunities in the areas where you can influence. Because, Nico, I'll be honest with you, I get confused a lot about Nigeria and the direction, especially even in our own industry.
Yes.
Because, you know, we can't isolate ourselves from everything that's going on around us. So that worries me. So that question is something that is an ongoing discussion in my mind.
Yes.
And at times, the answers and the solutions change from day to day as the environment and as the equation changes, as it always does.
Yes, it must.
Yeah,
It has
as
to
it always
remain
does.
dynamic.
Yeah, so, you know, you've got to, if you're a computer geek, you'll understand what DHCP means when you're trying to network. DHCP means that it's on a dynamic frequency. So if it goes up, you go up with it. If it comes down, you come down with it.
But then you must remain consistent.
Yeah, but as long as there's a throughput, as long as there's data coming through, if it is good, it will be fast. If it is slow, you'll still be able to access, but it will be.
But then you see, the consistency I even mean is, I know this is not to patronize you. I know that your love for technology and innovation has been always at the forefront and the background of your engagements. So, in your company, in your productions, we see a lot of that.
Yes.
And that love, for me, is the consistency
Yeah. Okay.
that can drive the engagement. So for you,
Yes, you know what? You know, like, really, you know what? The way I thought about it really is that, you know, for me, the focus has always been on value. We work in a very, very competitive environment because I work in the private. All my clients are in the private sector, and a lot of those clients are driven by institutional values in terms of quality, excellence, what they want for themselves, how they want their brands to be perceived, and all of those things. So, a lot of things that one does is focused on value. So, the equipment, the personnel, the manner you run your business, the style, and all of those things are just a means to an end.
yeah,
So technology is just one of the legs of ensuring that you deliver value. But whatever is required to deliver value is something that I always try to ensure is contained in our offering, in our product offering, because a lot of people say Nigerian business, man no man. Yeah, fine. But when man no dey go, when the man has gone,
yes,
what are you going to do? So the only thing that is sustainable is value.
is value.
So that's just the way I look at it.
Thank you, Remi. We'll take another break and resume our conversation.
Wow.
Please stay tuned. All right, welcome back to our program. Remi Ogunpitan is still my guest, and we just during the break we were saying he'd never been interviewed like this before, and I said, well, it's like they say, it's the person who knows you that knows what to ask you now, and don't be too humble. I know who you are, don't I? I do now. I do. Now, value is the soul and the heart of the business that you run. If you deliver good value, then your clients will come back. If the value is bad, they take a hike. Now, you don't want them to take a hike. However, in rating the media industry in the country, what would you like to place your finger on as what can improve our industry?
People.
In what sense?
People. We've got to train people. We've got to invest in people. We've got to expose our people. We've got to support our people. We've got to grow them, talent, in knowledge, in their networking skills and everything. You know, we talk about technology all the time. Technology is technology. Garbage in, garbage out. So give anybody, people talk about DOPs and cameramen. They talk about all these kinds of people. But if you give, I always, this analogy is that give a 60,000 pound camera to a cameraman that's not trained, and give a $5,000 cameraman to a DOP who has been trained and has experience and has exposure, and tell them to go and shoot the same thing. The guy with the $5,000 camera who is trained and has exposure will shoot you something better than the guy that had the 60.
Very true.
Yeah?
Very true.
Yeah. So it's all about people. I think that we don't invest enough in our people. I think business owners take people for granted. And I get it all the time. They say, look, if we train people, they will just go, they will come, they will land, I think that's all bunkum and rubbish. You know, in life, when you invest in other people, it will come back to you.
It does.
Whether they leave you,
They've got to leave.
doesn't matter. But what you are doing is that you are feeding an industry with people who are talented, who have knowledge, and they're coming from you.
And they will impact others too.
They will impact others, and that impact they have on others will come back and impact you.
Sure.
So that is a very critical area. I think in terms of technology and all of those things, all that is money.
Okay.
If you have the money, you can buy it. But I think it's people. People.
Yes, you asked me what areas I wanted to cover, and I said, don't worry, I'll ask you any question. You reserve the right to answer or refuse. Now, you said your dad was a politician.
Yes.
Are you a politician?
No way.
Why?
No, I'm not going to answer that question. Kai, politics, no.
Okay.
Ọlọ́run má jẹ́.
Ọlọ́run má jẹ́ o.
Yes.
Now, how do we solve the problem of low voter turnout in our country?
I vote.
You vote?
I vote.
You do?
Yeah, but just I will not be a politician.
Okay, very good. So then let's expand the question so that you can answer it. Let's look at it this way. How can we get more Nigerians involved in politics, especially the younger one? And by involvement, I mean them voting, I mean them participating in the process of canvassing for votes, of changing the society.
That sounds like a complex question, but it's actually very, very simple. You know, until we show that our people have a stake in government, in the decisions that are made by government, that those things are done in their own interest, you will always continue to have low public turnout during voting because there is no trust and there's no belief and there's no validity in the minds of Nigerians about the system being operated in their interest.
How do we show that?
By ensuring that the things that matter will start to change it, by showing that there's actually, truly, there's justice in the system. By showing that everybody is accountable to the law, that nobody is above the law. By showing that it's only the best people that will run this country. Merit.
Yes.
By ensuring that if you are running government, you are accountable. Those are the things. They're very, very simple, actually. You know, by showing that that government cares about the education of the child of somebody who is poor, the hospitals that they go to. As it is now, the majority of Nigerians don't believe they have a stake in the country. The people that are fighting for a stake in the country are the politicians and the people that identify with them. And of course, the elite ruling class who have invested money and are working to try to keep their businesses going, their manufacturing plants, their banks, their retail shops, their restaurants. You know, they're the people that have that seem to have a stake because things that happen around them impact them. But the average Nigerian believes that no matter what impacts them, they can't change it.
They can't change it.
So that's why they don't bother to vote.
How do we achieve that change?
You know, Lekon, it's a very interesting question, but I used to be very idealistic about all these things, and I used to be very vocal. And I came to the conclusion that we're in a big ocean of, can I say, rishi. And that I, as Remi Ogunpitan, the only way I can impact and do anything is within my sphere of influence, within the people that I relate with, that I do business with.
Spot on.
You know, we talked about people before and trading and everything. Do you know, because I have staff over the years. I have staff that have worked with me. I've had a driver that worked with me for 23 years. From the time I was at Solar.
Yeah.
And he's retired now.
Yeah.
I have people that have worked with me for 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. I have 3 of my staff. I know that, because that was the way I was exposed and I was gifted. So when I have money, I send them, yeah, go to America, go to NAB, go to Dubai, go to Capsat, go to this, go and attend this course, go and do this. Some of them have gone, some of them have left.
Yeah.
Many of them, one of them that has left was a young man that I found in Computer Village. He worked with me for many years. And I originally brought him to come and do cabling for me, cabling. But after 7 years, he left, set up his own production company. And he's doing amazingly well.
Fantastic.
So we have the ability to influence people around us. We have the ability to uplift people around us. And I believe that, when we do that, the more people we uplift, the more people we expose, the more people we teach, the more people we mentor.
Yeah.
When they look at us, they will see that these are the principles, these are the values that have made this man what he is. And hopefully they will emulate us, imbibe some of those values, and also teach other people.
Teach other people.
So hopefully to be like a ripple.
Okay.
But we need a lot of people doing that. A lot of people doing that. A lot of people able to stand up, for instance, and say that there are certain things they won't accept.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And
principle.
And for you to get to that level in this country where you are saying that there are certain things you don't accept and you be principled, the tendency is that you must have either been through a lot and you are not comfortable to be able to say, I'm not going to take it. Because you can't ask a man to be principled and not steal and not take an orange you put on the table there who has not eaten for 1 week.
Well, he could be. It could be.
It could be.
Yeah.
He could resist it. He could say, I want it. Could I? But the tendency is that most Nigerians, they don't have. They are in need. They are in want. So they take shortcuts. Because at the top, you don't get dealt with if you take a shortcut. So who am I not to take a shortcut?
So we need to strengthen our institutions, right? Institutions like the police, like judiciary, we have to. Yes,
we know now. We say this all the time.
Yes.
We all know it, but
then we have to keep saying it so that it can be relevant. We have to. Change does not come when we keep quiet.
People in leadership don't know that.
Well, some of us will get into leadership too and not change from what we used to be. Well, that's the truth.
Well, the thing is that change, individual change can change yourself, can change you, can change your life. But what we're talking about is a change for a country of over 200 million people.
Yes.
And that's something that when I think about it, I won't lie to you, it baffles me how you do it all. Because I ask myself, how do you galvanize into a cohesive force of the same power, the same thought, the same vision, the same drive? 200 million people or so of different interests, of different backgrounds.
It's leadership.
It's
leadership.
Well,
yeah, even from your own analogy, it's leadership. Yeah. It's if they start in their own spheres.
Yes.
Right. then others will emulate. They will produce people and all that. And some of those people will get into that position of leadership.
I think,
Yes.
I think at times when we look at leadership as being from the top down, at times leadership can be from bottom up.
It actually should be from bottom up, so that when you find yourself at the very top, you already are known for something. That's it. You're known for something.
But it can be very disquieting.
Yeah, well, it can be. We're going to take another break now. Don't worry, it won't be too long. We'll be back shortly. Thank you. Welcome back to the program, where we're talking to none other than Remi Ogunpitan. Now, Remi, in the last 3 or 4 decades, almost about 4 decades now, almost 4 decades, you've been doing business in Nigeria, you've worked in this same industry, you've led or headed, and then you have founded, right, companies that deal with production. What's that experience been like for you?
If I died and I had the choice of coming back again, I don't think I would have changed. I don't think I'll change my.
You will come back and do the same thing.
Again, I'll do the same thing.
Okay, fine. So let's start being specific about your experience. For instance, traveling around the country as a result of working. What was that like?
Okay, let me tell you. It's been interesting. When I came back to Nigeria, the 1980, I was in Kano. What I did was I bought myself a Volkswagen bus, a Kombi bus.
A bus?
Yes.
So we have that in common.
Yeah, and I equipped it with a bed, a kerosene fridge, a kerosene cooker.
Are you kidding?
And I spent 1 year traveling around Nigeria.
You did that?
Yes, I did, yes. My first 1 year back in the country. There was nowhere I didn't go to. I traveled from... There was nowhere I didn't go to. And in some places, I would spend a week or 2 weeks. I remember I spent 2 weeks in Boko.
Really?
Yeah, because I met this girl and I thought I was in love with her, but I had to move. But there was nowhere I didn't go to. From Sokoto
to you left the love back in
Boko. I moved, from Sokoto to Potiskum to Nguru to Biu to Daura, Dambata, Adeja,
just driving.
Yola, Guzo, Mubi, yes. Right down to Miduyo, Kafancha, Funtwa, Adeja, Guzo, Kafancha, Kontagora,
all by
Shendam, Jos, yeah. And I did that for about 11 almost a year. And it was amazing.
And your parents left you to do that?
Yes, now. There was no...
Yeah, well, you were a full-grown
and apart from that, Nigeria wasn't stressed now. Yeah, there was still armed robbery, but it was not like the way it was now. You could move. You could drive at night.
Yeah, that's true.
You could drive at night.
And police were friendlier.
Yes. You could get somewhere, park and sleep and wake up in the morning and the villagers will come out and say, well, okay, look, you want food? Nigeria was like that. Now, it's not so much like that.
Yeah.
We travel a lot now. Our production crews today in Nigeria, when we travel to locations outside of, let's just say Ibadan, Abeokuta, but the minutes we're going to Ilorin, Akure, Benin, all those places we normally go by road. We go with police escort.
No.
Yes, we do.
But you didn't need that in 1980?
No, you didn't. Even when we were doing productions where we were traveling on the road with things like Benson and Edge's Golden Tones, the road shows, when we were doing Rothman's Groove, the road shows and things like that, Peak Talent Show, Glow Soccer Academy, all of those things. We used to travel by road. We didn't used to go with police now. But now you do.
You do.
Some of the clients will not even allow you to travel without them. I mean, we work for flour mills, we work for a lot of the oil companies. You can't go anywhere without security.
Without police?
Yeah, you can't.
These days?
Yes, you can't. It's impossible.
Yeah, what's that like for you someone who's traveled all by himself,
Yeah.
and now needing police escort to do that.
It's just part of the, it's part of the mix now. You know, these things, they become normalized. So you don't see, you know, what happens is that over a period of time, things that you're not used to, you now have to start putting them in place. And after a while, they become normalized. So you don't even see it as being unusual. You see it as being just part of.
Just by the
Yeah. You know, like our international clients that we work with,
Yes.
I'm not going to mention their names, but there's not one of them that comes into this country without security devices, which maps and tracks their every single movement, right up to where they are, with an accuracy of 25 meters. They carry it. It's not a phone, it's not anything, but a lot of people don't know it, but it will be on them. So that if anything happens, they can be tracked. So that is there. In terms of work, you know, liaison with Nigerians and getting things done, it's a bit more challenging because Nigerians are wiser. They know that a lot of these things that people do, you want to use a place, you want to use somebody's shop, you want to shoot in a location, they understand that what we're doing, we're being paid for it and we make money from it. They're smart. Social media, live TV, cable TV has made everybody understand.
Made them aware.
Yeah. So, you know, they will cooperate with you, but, you know, these days you need to drop something. We're shooting something in the market on the 3rd of February. We have to pay 250,000 naira to enter the market.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
How do you acquire your sites and locations?
Yeah.
It's been like,
We pay.
And then even shooting within communities.
Yeah, communities are easier because the shooting within communities, what you tend to do is that you identify who the key leaders are within that community, whether it's a traditional oba or a chief or whatever. Identify them, tell them what you want to do. At times, some of the things we want to do is actually to their advantage.
Yes.
And when it is, you know,
they might even end up being the ones entertaining you.
They'll cooperate and you know, we're Africans and we're Nigerians and we have a culture, you know, which is not this is not a corruption culture.
No.
But this is a culture of you show respect.
Yes.
I accommodate you. I thank you.
Yes. That's
so
so the experience has been a mixed one.
Yeah, it's mixed, but nothing nasty, nothing horrible.
Okay.
You know, something
in the
like
last 3-4
No,
years.
you can always
get over that.
Yeah, walk over it. Yeah. We've never had anything nasty like that.
So finally, let me ask you, you did some tourism content, some of which you even graciously passed to us and we're using. What inspired that? Was it that your...
Yes, it was.
1980,
yeah.
81?
Yeah, it was. And the fact is this, is that, you know what?
Road trip. You did a road trip.
Yeah, road trip, yes. Yeah.
And that's what opened your mind up to, I need to
And
do
it
this.
still keeps on, and my mind still keeps on getting opened up every day. You know, we've had the opportunity of traveling around Nigeria to so many places, and at times some very obscure places. And the more that you travel, the more you see, number one, how beautiful we are as a people. The average Nigerian that you see in Lagos that is hustling is not your typical Nigerian. When you go to some of these obscure, remote areas and you see the land, you see the topography, you see the potential of the opportunity that there is, you start to say to yourself that I need to do something about this. And that was what inspired us, basically starting to put that kind of content together, because we just felt that, well, look, it's our country. Yeah, there's a lot that is wrong with it, but we still have one or two things that we're proud about. And at least if we can't get there, let's show people the beauty of Nigeria. When I traveled around Nigeria around 1980, in Jos, in places in Jos like Shendam and all of those things, then I used to go into, they have a lot of tin mines there, which were then being run by expatriates.
Yes.
And most of the tin mines then had orchards. They had gardens. I used to go into those orchards and I used to pick fresh strawberries, blackcurrant, pomegranate, apple, peaches. But now, you can't do that. But the thing is that we are able to do those things if we put our mind to it.
But they are even they're in, was that in Jos now? They're in Plateau.
Yeah,
they
Plateau.
have started cultivating strawberries on a large commercial scale.
But then it wasn't a big deal. It was everywhere. You just pick strawberries, you pick blackberries, you pick blackcurrant, anything that you want, you just pick it.
Yeah.
Those days you go onto the farm, you give them like, I don't know how much you give them like about 20 naira. And then you can just take.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Maybe like 2 naira.
I don't know.
No,
maybe about 2 naira or maybe 1 naira or 50 kobo.
Yes.
You just go and you pick everything that you want to pick and you go.
When you go.
Yeah.
So now, so that's like your own way of giving back to society?
No.
The tourism content?
No, it's not. I think you get to a stage, you need to give back.
Yeah.
So what I try to do now is I try to give my services free of charge to churches, for instance, who want to do media training, to universities.
Okay.
We're doing something now with NIJ, Nigerian Institute of Journalism, where every Saturday they come across to our facilities and we give our time and our equipment to train their students in the area of broadcasting and production. There are other things that one is doing, but what I've found is that the only way I can give back and I feel very, very satisfied about it is to try and improve what is going on in our industry, because there's so much, there's still so much to do.
I want you to give back to us.
Okay.
Let's work together
Okay.
on a documentary.
Okay.
You know, on the bridge, when you are coming towards the island,
Yeah.
you know, Okobaba,
Makoko.
the timber.
Yes.
I'd like us to do
You know the funny thing?
a documentary on that, because you know there's a period that they will bring so much of the timber.
We discussed this.
And it will be all over the place.
We discussed this in a meeting.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks ago in our office.
And we'll go all the way
to Ondo.
Ondo, Kitipupa.
Where they now build the raft.
Exactly.
And then ship it down.
And if possible, follow the raft.
Who's going to follow them? Me and you?
No, follow. We don't have to be the ones.
We have big belly now. So
yes, we have underlying. We have underlying issues. Even the children will say, "Hey, Daddy, where are you going?" but let's do that together.
No, I would love to do that, because that would be an amazing.
It's a good way,
film.
and it will be something we'll put in the public space.
An amazing film,
right? To tell the story of the timber industry.
Okay. I'll take your offer up on that.
Yes,
we'll do it as a joint production.
Yes, let's do it together.
Okay.
Let's merge forces.
Yeah.
Right, write scripts and all that. I can voice.
We can put all those young boys to. You can go get this our young guy on the camera.
Yes. To shoot and all that.
You live on the raft for 2 weeks, because that's how long it takes for them to.
It takes 2 weeks. Yes, I know.
You'll be eating on the raft, sleeping on the raft.
Yes.
Just take plenty of mosquito repellent.
Yes, that's it. It will be good. It will be an experience for them. And worst case scenario, we can train somebody on the raft that can position the camera and all that.
No, they have to go with them.
Exactly. So that's it. Anyway, it's been nice talking to Remi. Remi, well, we know each other. We know how far we've been together. And I'm just so amazed at your accomplishment. I'm not any way flattering you. You know that. We don't flatter. But just commending your great work. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And we thank God too.
Yes. So we have another episode of Timeless Conversations. It's been Remi Ogunpitan as my guest today. Thank you all for watching.